Hey everybody, and welcome to the next edition of Field Days. This is show number 2, and today is all about frost seeding those food plots. And for today's purposes, we're going to talk about frost seeding existing perennial plots. In the next show, we're going to talk a little bit about something that we've been testing for the last few years that has been somewhat successful for us, and that's going to be frost seeding an existing annual plot from the year before. So we're going to talk about that in the next episode, but today is all about frost seeding perennials. And we have been super successful with this. I've done a bunch of different videos on different plots that we've done this with, and it has been very, very successful for us. So, we have the arrow plot that you saw last year, just tremendous results, a beautiful, beautiful fusion plot. The sheep plot, again, another gorgeous plot that was getting thin and starting to have some bare spots. Frost seeded that and had one of the most lush, full fusion plots you're ever going to see. I think, well, it wasn't fusion, it was actually imperial clover in that plot. And then the other one being the deceiving plot. And we've been frost seeding this plot for several years. It's now, I think, a 6 or 7 year old plot that this plot's been going. But that's one awesome thing about frost seeding. It's going to extend the longevity of those plots. So just some of the successes we've had so far with frost seeding. Let's talk about why we want to frost seed. And there are a ton of different great reasons of the benefits of frost seeding. The main thing you're going to look at is, you want to frost seed those plots. I frost seed generally all my perennial plots every single year because it's going to increase the longevity of those plots. I'm getting 6, 7 years out of most of my fusion and clover plots now. And it's going to fill in those bare spots. You have a plot that's maybe struggling a little bit, has some bare spots. It's a great way to fill those in, have a much more lush and full clover, chicory plot, whatever it's going to be. It's very, very easy to do. And this is one of the biggest benefits. You hear a lot out there now about soil health and doing everything you can not to disturb that soil. So here's a great way. You're not disking, you're not tilling, you are simply going in with a broadcast spreader and spreading seed. And it doesn't get much more simple than that. And for a guy who does a lot of food plots, it's nice, getting the equipment there and doing half that stuff is half the battle. So not having to do that, simply spreading some seed makes it very, very easy. You have a lot less equipment, and at the end of the day, your soil health is going to be much better. Okay, this is a big one. I see a lot of guys out there on the different groups and pages, and they talk about this. And what is it that what kind of seed do you want to frost seed? And for me, I always frost seed a hard-coated seed. That's the things from Whitetail Institute like imperial clover, fusion, alpha rack, chick magnet. You do not, I repeat, do not want to frost seed a soft seed. It has a tendency this time of year, it's just going to get in the soil and rot, and you're wasting your money. So make sure you are frost seeding one of those hard-coated seeds. That's going to be your best bet and going to make you the most successful. When do we want to frost seed? It's a big question. I'm from Northwest Pennsylvania, and I always answer that question as, doesn't really matter where you're from, but you want to frost seed when that ground is freezing and thawing, freezing and thawing. For us here in Northwest Pennsylvania, I'll do that in March, as late as April even. I've frost seeded before, but the key is that the ground is freezing and thawing. In the south, you're looking at early. You're probably looking at February where you're going to want to frost seed. So just depends on where you're from, but the key being that you're getting that freezing and that thawing every single night that's going to suck those seeds into the ground. Some other things that you're going to want to consider when you're frost seeding your plot and then maintaining those plots to have as much success as what you can. And I encourage everybody to do this. It's often overlooked, and it's the biggest mistake you can make. You still want to soil sample those plots. You want to see how much lime and fertilizers. If you're frost seeding fusion or imperial clover or alpha rack or chick magnet, whatever it is, you want to soil sample for that and make sure the pH is where it needs to be. You have the lime on it as well as the fertilizer. The lime, you want to get in as soon as you can. You want to, if you can get that in a couple months before, that's what you want to do. Fertilizer, you can wait a little bit until the plot's maybe 3-4 inches tall and you can hit it with the fertilizer. The next thing is as that plot grows and starts to fill in, every plot's different. So a lot of people always ask me, should I spray my plots? Should I mow my plots? Well, you have to look at your plots and evaluate that. If you're seeing a bunch of grasses or broadleaf weeds kind of starting to take over the plot, you're going to want to hit those with some herbicides. Arrest Max from Whitetail Institute is what we use for grasses. Slay is for broadleaf weeds, as well as the Surefire crop oil. You're going to want to use all three. And people ask me all the time, can I mix those together? And yes, you can mix those together. As well as people ask me all the time, will Slay kill my chicory? It will not kill your chicory as long as you spray it when that chicory is maybe 5 or 6 inches tall. You don't want to spray it when it's just starting, because Slay will. But if that chicory gets established, Slay is not going to kill your chicory. So maintain those plots based on what you're seeing throughout the spring and summer months to maintain those weeds. Another very effective way at controlling those weeds throughout the summer is mowing. So if you have a plot that you're just seeing a few weeds here and there, there's nothing major, you can mow that plot. That's probably gonna manage those weeds. You don't need to hit it with the herbicides. So each individual person needs to evaluate those plots and maintain them throughout those summer months to make sure you have a beautiful looking food plot come the fall. Well, I hope that answers at least most of your questions about frost seeding. And we want to remind everybody, we're doing a podcast later this evening all about this as well, where we're getting into much more detail about frost seeding with Brandon from Whitetail Institute. He's an expert in this, and he's going to be able to answer all of your technical questions. So make sure you don't miss that podcast. And thank you all for joining us on Field Days.